Hello, and welcome to JLJ This Morning. I'm James Lott JR. It is kind of late morning for some of us. It's after 10. I had some things to do this morning. I have some stuff coming up that I have to work on today. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys can hear me. I think you guys can hear me. It is morning time, and it is Wednesday, which I just can't believe it's Wednesday already. I thought I usually come on live on Wednesdays. I'm just sitting at the chat room. There we go. There's like all these things you got to do this. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I have my coffee, my favorite coffee cup. It says for try not to suck. Thank you, my guys, my folks, Nick Pavaskiano. Good. Phone's on silent. Okay. So you saw from the title, real life versus real life. The last few days, I had a real eye-opening experiences. Had eye-opening experiences these last couple of days with real life, REAL, and real life, REEL. I had a birthday a couple days ago, so I'm having the whole birthday thing. Everybody, congratulations, real life, trying to do stuff mixed in. I have stuff coming up for my birthday still. Now, stuff that's going on. Turning another age, I'm 52, turning another age. And all that. My career, I have some really great things coming up that I can't wait to tell you guys about at some point that are coming up. And I'm working on that. That's all real life stuff. But then I have my real life, REEL life. And that is television, movies, music, kind of stuff. The last 2 days are very interesting because there's a show that I do. It's the after show of a very popular show on Hallmark Channel. The show is called When Calls to Heart. The fans are called the Hardys. I'm a Hardy also. It's on Hallmark Channel. Very successful show for the network. It had its season finale, season 8 finale this Sunday. And one of the decisions of the show has sent a segment of fans online, especially, in a tizzy. And I work in the soap world, so I know that's every day. The soap world, people are always upset about certain couples, couplings, storylines. They voice them all the time. I'm kind of used to that in the soap world because literally it's every day, all the time. We always make jokes in soap Twitter. It's not to be played with, right? For the Hardys, it's a very different situation. Usually it's all love and rainbows and people are together and they support the show. And we've had some things in the past that have tested that a couple of times over the years, but they've bounced back. It seems like that's something that happened. It bounces back. It will come back together. And it's been fine. This particular storyline, which was I'll put in quotes, a triangle. That's people have different views of that. And what I do is me and my co-hosts do the commentary of the show. So if you don't know what after show is, let me just tell you what that is. We break down a show, we watch it, we analyze it, and we tell our opinions. So it's part recap. So if folks didn't watch it, but most people have seen it, they join us live. They have a little chat, like here, a little chat room. And we talk about the show and what happened. But not just a straight up, just like, and this happened. And we do talk about that, but that'd be boring because you watch the show already. You can get recaps online, just read them. It's about our opinions. It's opinion television, what we think about the show, what our feelings were. And I've been doing that for 8 years now. So I mean, it's like I'm used to it. Folks not agreeing, folks agreeing, whatever. I mean, it's just, to me, it's par for the course. Opinions are opinions, right? You don't agree with my opinion, I'll agree with yours. But that's part of my job. And we create a space for people to come to talk about their feelings about the show. And that's every episode. We have interviews sometimes. We'll call it interviewing the actors, elaborate, give behind the scenes stuff. So on this episode, as we've done for the last 3 or 4 seasons, executive producer, co-creator Brian Bird came on the show. And we love Brian, and he is very gracious with his time. I mean, he could be doing 100 other things, But he's very gracious with his time, and he came on and he talked to us as Hardys, us as fans, TV, gave us some insight to how the season, people don't understand. I work in production, so I know how shows just don't come together in 2 seconds. To put together a show, especially during the height of the pandemic, it's a major, oh, wrong button, a major coup. Any shows that put stuff out there and to make it look decent and effortless and entertaining, it's a lot of work. And we laugh at it, Bold and Beautiful. They mentioned on the show how when they first started, everybody was standing way over here and oh my God, I love you, and that kind of stuff. But we knew why they had to do it. They had blow up dolls and mannequins. I mean, we were trying to figure out a way to give you some entertainment. This time last year, we had no soaps except for Days of Our Lives on the air. No original programming except for Days of Our Lives. All 3 other soaps, General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and the Restless, were doing reruns. That was the first time that ever happened, and it was a strange time. And they had to figure it out. Everything shut down, so they had to figure it out. So apparently Vancouver has a lot of stricter laws too, a lot of productions. So we got insight to that. Marissa Serafini and I, who host that show, what we call the Heart After Show, here on JLJ Media, we had a chance to ask Brian all kinds of questions. And we didn't spare any expense, and Brian is not a snowflake. He will answer them and directly, and he's on social media and he answers fans directly. He's one of those hands-on, he's always been hands-on person. Some of the producers of these shows, of the soaps, they're hands-on. Some aren't. Some don't say anything. Frank Valentino is always online. There's some folks that are, Ron Cavalardi's online from Days. Some are online intermixing with the fans. Others just, they don't do anything. So we would have them on, but the ending made a huge contingency of fans. I mean, if you're not a Hardy, it won't really matter. There's a Team Nathan, that's the fan base. But if you don't watch the show, it won't mean anything to you. But that fan base pissed. I mean, they're angry. They feel. And it's the last couple of days, because I've been very vocal online. I've been defending the show and stuff. And the producers have been online, the actors have been online, still defending the show, promoting the show. Seeing the vitriol from these Hardys, this section of Hardys feel they hashtag former Hardy, broken Hardy, bummed Hardy, all these things. They feel completely like lied to, misled. They all felt that the lead of the show was going to pick a certain man, and it didn't go that way. Now there's this thread of it's not who he picked, it's how they went about it. Now I have been critical of the show. If you watch my episodes, I was very critical of the show. I'd even called it soapy, and people got mad at me. I called it soapy. And that's another thing too. It's funny when people get upset and angry online, especially. It's very interesting to me that a lot of the words and things you said and they condemned, now suddenly they use it for their advantage. That's just an online thing. Period. It's very interesting. Where they call you names like three episodes ago, but then when they need to use it, it's anyway. It's another story. And that's just facts. I'm not even trying to be shady. It's very interesting to watch the dynamic of people taking your words against you, and then and then saying similar words to use for themselves in defense. But I said it was soapy. I said that storyline was soapy. I was not a huge fan of the soapiness of it, and I love soaps, so I'm not anything against soaps. I just felt like this show was just very different. It's a period piece. We don't know when it's a period piece drama. There's kind of some comedy in it. And they have storyline arcs. But every show nowadays is a soap at this point. They all have storyline arcs, continuous stories. But I was very critical of, even though I was a Team Lucas person, the other side. But I was never, and people will tell you this, I was never down talked the Nathan side. I never down talked them. Never down talked the Nathan. To me, both characters were good men for this particular act, for this particular character, Elizabeth. So I thought, well, either one she ends up with, I won't be upset. I mean, I'm invested, but I'm like, it's fine. I mean, it's whatever one she gets. I was Team Elizabeth. I wanted her happy, this character. And I always said it's gonna be a no-win situation. Whenever you do a triangle, and I say triangle in quotes again because there were times where it didn't feel like a triangle, it felt more one-sided than the other. And I was saying that the character Elizabeth wasn't very likable this season. Oh, I said all these things, and people were like, James, you don't understand. You know, I mean, I was getting yelled at. My co-host Marissa was getting yelled at. We were getting yelled at online, on YouTube, on comments, like we were just not. And now everybody's like, oh, you're right. She wasn't likable this season, and she didn't do this. I'm like, that's what I said. We watched the show. We love the show. We watched it, but people are just. And it's interesting seeing what they're saying. People are coming up with all kinds of scenarios. People think the show did on purpose to hurt them, personally hurt them. And I was like, I work in production, I work in Hollywood, so I never think a show's trying to hurt you. It's not trying. I'm a creative because I have my own shows too. I write. I always try to tell people, and I said this yesterday, I've been very vocal on Twitter and people, whatever. Writers have a vision. Writers decide, and producers, they decide that this is their show. They've chosen to go a certain way. They don't owe you anything. They don't owe. They don't owe. They owe you a good show. That's what they owe you. But whatever creative choices, that's their show. You want a different creative choice, create your own show. That's how I look at it. That's to me too. That's again, I do criticizing shows. I critique shows. That's for me also. This is their show. They write it however the F they want to. That's just how it is. So we take a chance as viewers to get invested and watch the show. For example, watching Young Versus me at the same time. Oh yeah, for you when Young Versus is on, it's not on out here yet. We got another hour, another half hour. Then we got another hour. You know, we take chances. This is all shows. We take a chance by getting invested in a show. We're watching it. We're at the show's mercy. Think about it. We're watching the show. They're giving us what like Kenneth Clark is watching Young and the Restless. We're watching Young and the Restless. We're watching Bold and the Beautiful. We're watching All Rise. We're watching The Neighborhood. Whatever show it is, they're leading us on a journey, right? Their obligation is just to give us good story, good acting, good story, and whatever. And that could be subjective, right? As a viewer, you have a right to not like the acting or like the writing or like the direction of the show. That part is just that's part and parcel of getting into a show. When It Calls to Heart had started out a certain way, and it's changed. And I even said this season had a different feel. That's the show's prerogative. So it's your prerogative as a viewer to go, well, I don't watch it anymore. It's not my direction. I dropped Walking Dead. I was a Walking Dead fan. I stopped watching after season 8. Most of the characters I love got killed. They had newer storylines. I heard the show is still good. It's still on the air. But for me, I lost interest. I was watching some episodes. I just wasn't excited. It was hard to go through. But see, I didn't get angry at the show. I didn't go off on the show. I didn't go off on the writers and directors. I mean, I'm seeing on Twitter people are attacking the actors, accusing them of things. I mean, over. And see, here's another thing too. Because I never say this. It's just a TV show. When you say that, people automatically get defensive when you say that and be offended. Because even though that may be true, saying that really doesn't help anything. It's just a TV show. Get over yourself. It's just fiction. That may be true. But people do get invested. Art has a way of really permeating your skin and your soul and your innards. Good morning, everybody. And it really does affect change in you. And for some people, these shows are their lives on some level, or a major part of their lives. So to say it's just television really isn't doing that any justice. For me, I work in Hollywood. I interview people who are considered celebrities. I don't get starstruck very often. And for me, I'm a fan of someone. Many of you guys know this if you are a fan of Days of Our Lives or me, Christian Alfonso. Christian Alfonso played Hope Williams-Brady for nearly 40 years. I followed her on other things. I'm a huge fan of hers. I got a chance to finally meet her and interview her 2 years ago. And I fanned out a little bit. And again, I'm not fanatical. I know there's between regular and I know there's between fiction and nonfiction. I know she's just a character. Doesn't matter. We all have people that we grow to love through the arts. And so it can affect you emotionally. So me meeting her affected me emotionally in person because all the years of her work. As I said to her, thank you for your service to our community on television, because she delivered every time. So I try never to say that to fans. Like, it's just TV show. Get over yourself. Like, that's not going to really help anything. But in some level, it is a TV show. We have to remember that this is not real life, and that writers are a right to write whatever the F they want, but you have a right to say no. Now, for me, the Hardys are much more than just a TV show. It's a movement, it's a mood, it's a community. And so I'm seeing the last couple of days, people are equating being a Hardy just with the show. Can't say that's right or wrong, just saying I'm seeing that more and more. I'm seeing the whole ex-Hardy, former Hardy, all this stuff. I'm like, so are you gonna drop all your friends that you've met? So you're not gonna watch the show anymore? Or you claim you're not gonna watch the show anymore? Are you gonna drop the principles? And the other thing too, because with soaps, there's multiple storylines and a lot larger cast. I'm very vocal on my soap operas. There's several people I don't like, several characters, several actors, several storylines, but I still watch the rest of the show because there's other stuff I like. I liken this to When Calls to Heart. To me, this major storyline was not the only thing that was on the show. There were a lot, because we were saying things like, because they're just angry, saying things like, the whole show sucked, it's destroyed, blah, blah. Now, maybe you feel that way for real. I mean, there was different tones to the show this season. But to me, there were some really great storylines that were in line with what the show is about. Redemption, second chances, forgiveness. There were other actors who did amazing work, got the chance to shine, and storylines that were wonderful. No show is perfect, obviously, and that's his work. And I read the books. So there were these books that Jeanette Oak wrote, or wonderful books. I'm sorry. The show, sorry folks, the show, if you've done this revisionist history, the show did not follow the books. The books are totally different. I mean, the books have a lot of stuff in them that, like, very major themes in these books. Even though it's a period piece, well, yes, but yes, a Mountie and a teacher was part of books, but it's not the whole. The books are very different than the movie and TV show. The TV show started out based on them, which if you work in television, a lot of shows are based on them. But they're not. They don't follow it. Each book doesn't follow each season, and it's not each book. They didn't do any. There are a lot of different characters that are in the books that were not even. They're not even. And Elizabeth there was an Aunt Elizabeth. There's a whole different thing. We read those. I read all the books. We did the critiques on them. We did the book circle on them. I'm going to post those on this channel soon, so you guys can actually. I know a lot of you guys read the books, but like Little House of the Prairie, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, a lot of these shows that are based on books, literally, if they stay on long enough, don't resemble the books. But I do understand if the show stops representing the flavor you like, that I do get that. Like I said, there's some shows I stopped watching because of that, actually, because they don't really resemble what I liked about the show when I first watched. So that part I do understand. But to say show's destroyed, and yeah, say what you want, but just some of this, the I call them conspiracy theories. Some of the theories they come up with is like, it's like, I don't think it's that serious. They're not trying to hurt you. That's not. I mean, they're not trying. They made a choice in writing, and you didn't like the choice. Okay, there were some editing problems this year, and some things that we talked about. And substitute the same thing. They pair people together, and you're like, there's one show, General Hospital, where there's a character that I have I can't get the word out, been so vocal against, character of Peter, that actually now I like him evil. But the whole leading up to this, I was not a fan. Thought the character had zero chemistry with everybody. And so I was very vocal about that. but I still watch the show. And yes, you have choices in how you spend your days and how you spend your nights. Yeah, please do. Yeah. But I would never write the actor and tag him and tell him how horrible he is. I would never do that. I would never, and I think some people, I get that some people think if you say it to the producers, they'll change. And that's the thing that's been very interesting too about this whole real life thing the last couple of days. Manny's Hardy's want an apology. I saw that. I'm like, an apology. That's interesting. They want an apology from like producers writing. They want the producer writing to say they were wrong. I'm sorry. I'm an artist. I know that I'm like, don't do that. I'm sorry. Screw the fans then, because that's not fair at all. Because just because you don't like the outcome, I gotta tell you, well, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. They didn't make any mistakes. They wrote what they wrote. You didn't like it. Tough. Get over yourselves. I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say get over yourselves. I will defend artists first. I'll always defend art, artistry, creatives, because that's just, you don't like what they wrote. That's fine. Totally get it. That's completely, yeah, you're able to have an opinion, but that's actually demand apologies and like retractions. And now I always say this again, it was going to be a no-win situation. Now, if the homegirl chose Nathan, and then I feel like the Team Lucas fans would be upset also. I feel like the problem probably was starting a triangle. That's probably the problem. The show is not known for that. That's probably the problem. But the writers and producers wanted to go that direction. We have to accept that. They wanted to go that direction. We went on for the ride, and the conclusion came to the conclusion. You know what I mean? You can say that we always have time. There are bad directors, there are bad producers, there are bad seasons of shows. I mean, I was watching Lost, and then there was like, I barely could get through season 3 and 4. But then it came back to me. I mean, there's all kinds of things happen. It's like, it's just kind of, sometimes, the acting gets a little loose. You're like, okay, that girl isn't as good as she used to be. What's going on? And it comes back. I just feel like you have to you can't, apologize. I'm like, if I was right, I told her, I wrote this yesterday on Twitter. Don't apologize. Screw that. No, don't apologize. You have a right to write what you want to write, and the fans have a right to say, we didn't care for it. The ratings were decent, so there are folks who like it, and I'm seeing these numbers being thrown around. 80% of the fans hate this. 70%, all these polls and stuff. There are a lot of fans who are not on social media. There are a lot of fans who don't participate in polls. Polls aren't scientific; they just aren't. They're a lot of times they're for fun, and in some cases, yes, they do match up with maybe popular opinion. But then, what is popular opinion? Is popular opinion what's online, or is popular opinion what's out in the world? Because I know a lot of folks who are not on social media. They don't even know what it is. They're not on it. I'm talking young, not the old folks, but young folks who aren't on Instagram or Twitter. I know a lot of folks who aren't on Twitter, who don't go online, I know a lot of folks who just watch the shows, and that's it. I have friends who don't read Soap Digest. I used to read Soap Digest every week. And now I'm in the business, I don't need to read it, but I used to read all the time. And I have friends who, they just watch the show. Days of Our Lives comes on at 1 o'clock where they live. They just watch at 1 o'clock, and that's all. And I'll talk to them, so-and-so's, and I'll start to forget, so-and-so's leaving the show. I didn't know that. Like, they literally they don't read spoilers. They don't know any of that stuff. They're just watching in real time, 5 days a week for that hour. So what those folks who just tune in and watch, do they agree with you or agree with them? They may not. They might like Team Lucas. They may like Team Lucas. And so it's one of those things. It's kind of like, yeah, you're throwing numbers around so that you feel better. That your point is this. But it's not science. It's just not science. It's like it's we should count. We know our elections, everything. We gotta be careful with those kind of things. But yes, there's a large contingency of fans for any given coupledom on TV. And that's because the shows created them, right? And the fans fell in love with that couple. They invested in that couple, and they want to see it go a certain way. Some folks go, well, that's a bunch of sour grapes. Well, I mean, it is. There is sour grapes in there. I mean, you're upset. And I made a football analogy, and some folks loved it, and some folks hated it. I was like, I'm a Steelers fan. We have 6 Super Bowl rings, but there were times we were so close to the playoffs and didn't make it the last minute. Bad plays, bad things. To me, it's disappointing. Or we've been to Super Bowl and we lost. That is a crushing blow. You're upset. You start looking at every play they did and go, well, Roethlisberger should have did this, and so-and-so should have did that, and they dropped the ball there. I'm like, you look at everything, you get mad. I was like, well, don't they know we won? I've seen fans, sports fans go, well, don't they know we want this? Didn't they sleep enough? Did they go to bed last night? Like, they start really getting angry at the fans because, I mean, at the coaches, and to me, it's like it is a great analogy. It's a type of analogy to this. So I don't know. I just it's been very interesting, and I've defended my points, and people don't want to watch it, don't watch it anymore. That's fine. You know that we can't. I mean, that's freedom. That's freedom. You get to do whatever you want. But I'm just seeing again the vitriol, seeing the hate, seeing the anger. It saddens me because I feel bad that folks are really upset. The folks are. I love the Hardys. You know, I love much of my soul community too. Not all of them, but I like much of my soul community. I do. They watch my shows. They give comments. They've been wonderful to me in my real life. REAL. I have many friendships with the Hardys that I mean, with regular Hardys that I've met in Ohio and Texas and Southern California that are wonderful. They're wonderful, wonderful people. I'm sad that they're hurting because their couple didn't get together. I'm sorry. I mean, I just it's we want everybody. They can't. These shows can make everybody happy. No show can do that. It just can't. Soaps, everything. You just can't do it. But as a writer, as a producer, that's the tough part. Now, I always say a lot of times I would never want to be a producer or a writer for a soap. Because I just think it's just because the fans, because it's an embarrassment of riches. You put 2 people together and a fandom begins. Put 2 people together and a fandom begins. If someone has chemistry, or there's the fandoms are one person split between 2 or 3 people. I'm thinking about Elizabeth on General Hospital, especially because there are Liz and Rick fans and Liaison fans and Frizz fans and there's all these fandoms, which is just, I mean, the show did a great job writing them and putting them together. But if they don't stick together, and I also remember these shows, I might have told myself the same thing. And these shows, they have to create drama. And when it comes to I look at it this way, Nathan's still on the show. She said she loved him. She's not in love with him. That could totally change next season. That could totally change in 2 seasons. I mean, who knows? Who knows what can happen? And in real life, who knows what can happen? Maybe the actor leaves next season, plays Lucas. I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to happen on these shows. But all 3 of them are still signed to the show and are slated to return. So once that's there, it's possibilities. And I said this also, because people were like, the show should get off the air. It should just end. And it's like, well, it's one thing to say, I don't like the show anymore. I'm not going to watch it. That's fine. I don't watch it anymore. But I always say, I just wish them well. And there's an audience that likes them, but also there are people who are working. And nowadays, in this economy where we're going through a pandemic and trying to get money, there are crew members where they couldn't work last year. There was no work. They were struggling. Our stimulus checks were tired, and I didn't even get a stimulus check last year. And employment is low, and payments are low, and they need jobs, and they're good and the crew is one of the hardest working components of our business. And I said, I want them to have jobs and keep working. Again, I may not like a certain show, but I'm not going to wish it that it's off the air. I've seen that too, and I'm like, that's not good. Let them stay on air. I just will move on to something else, but hope that this show can continue. But I also think too, and you can get mad at me if you want to. That's fine. I'm used to it. I think people just get angry, and we do this in life. You get angry. That's it. I'm done. And then you do calm down, and the show comes back on. And if you're a longtime viewer, sometimes it's hard to not watch again. It can happen. Like I said, Walking Dead, I've had no issues. I haven't gone back in the last 2 seasons. I have no Not draw. I haven't seen anything that's drawn me in. But sometimes it's hard to say. I remember a couple of shows I was watching. I had a couple. I think it was Dallas. The new Dallas on TNT. Hated it. Hated it. Was not after the first season. I'm not gonna watch it ever again. I watched second season. Not watch it again. I ended up watching. I was like, now it's like I have to watch to see what happens. Continue to go. So I kind of hate watched it third season. Yeah, so I did that. That happens. So yeah, it's just it's tough. And that's why I love arts. Arts can really create emotion. And that's really important about this. Books, music, TV shows, podcasts, everything. It's paintings. It really create emotions out of you. Geneva asked, it is still 7 months till Christmas. Do you think that some of the anger will calm down by then? I think so. I have a feeling the ones that say they're not going to watch them who are really angry, they will calm down at some point. They'll calm down, whatever. It just will, just naturally, just will. Life, because life, they even know life goes on. At some point, their lives go on. They have things to do. When the shows are announced and things come back, I think some of them will take a peek. They can't help themselves. They're going to take a peek. I've been doing this for years. I know how audiences work a lot of times. I think some are done. There's always a contingency. They're just like, that's it. They're done. Like I said, I've done it in several shows, so I get it. I think, and I'm seeing it already in the comments that I online and stuff. Some are saying, now I'm calming down. I see things a little differently. That's life. That's just life. And whatever you feel now, you don't have to be bound to. You can change your mind if you want to. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to stay and not change your mind. Either way, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in like, I was angry, I was pissed. But now I see this way, Oh, well, Jack, hi, Yvonne Frederick. I don't know who you are, but hello. When Jack, that was another time period when it was major. I wrote a book about it called Being Hardy. It's out on Amazon. I sold it back then. I talk about the behind the scenes with the Lori Loughlin situation, the Jack situation. There's a whole, us Hardys have been through a lot the last few years. And that time was tough. I didn't think anything would rival Daniel Lissing leaving the show and them killing Jack. This rivals it. I'm very shocked at how much this rivals. I knew there'd be some angry fans because this is how it works. But I had no idea how angry. I'm in awe of how angry it is. Because the Jack thing was something I thought, how did I come back from this? It was deep. We had Brian Burr on our show then too. It was deep. It was but you can read it in my book. I talk about it in my book. It's like $4.99, $5.99 on Amazon. But yes, it's this one rivals that very much so. And again, I'm seeing the disrespect shown to in the name of anger, justified anger, righteous anger towards producers, writers, actors on the show. I don't know, you have your discussions, do what you want to do, but you can't just anyway. That's a whole nother show of stuff, talking about that and how much actors have input and don't have input. They're doing their job. So it's like attacking somebody doing their job. You're shocked as well. I was pleased with Danny. I'll check out your book out. Yes, I have 2 books out, 2 Hardy books out. They're both out there. They're fun. I use some behind the scenes stuff. From my perspective, working with Hallmark and stuff, it's a lot of fun stuff. I said I was a Team Lucas fan. I saw potential. It's funny watching people try to describe the Lucas and how he is, and how they are choosing to see it. And I'm like, I don't see it that way at all. Yeah, I know. I feel bad for the actors. The actors are hired to do a job, to portray it. That's their job. And to attack Erin Krakow and all this, and people saying, "Well, you guys should." I'm like, what? She's an actress who is a lead of a show, and her job is to promote the show and be a cheerleader for the show and do whatever they tell her to do on the show. That's her job. A lot of these actors are so super nice. We've met just about all of them. I have, and my co-host Marissa Serafini have met just about all of them. And I just think it's just, to me, it's like, I mean, the world, there's such major problems happening in the world right now. We're trying to get back to a life. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm finally trying to get out there. And I'm seeing, and yeah, Barbara Ann, I'm seeing such, rude comments made to the actors and to the producers of When Calls to Heart. I've seen it on soaps too. But a lot of soap people will just talk about them. They don't usually tag the actors in them. They do sometimes. They may tag the producers or writers here and there sometimes, but most of the time the soaps, they talk amongst themselves. We see it online. And to me, that's different. That's fine. But when you include the actors and trying to get them, I remember a while back, they were like, you should quit your job so someone can have money. Well, that's not how it works. Things like that. We would love to have Chris and Aaron on. We're working on it. It's not as easy as you think, folks. We're trying. And we still are. We have some stuff. We actually have some announcements coming up on our show, the When Calls to Heart After Show, here on JLJ Media. Our show will be continuing with some specials until the hiatus is over and they're back. So throughout the year, so keep tuned to us because we're gonna have more stuff for you guys. Right, Joseph and Minnie. As I said, we got a pastor. Faith was really front and center on the show this season, which a lot of people like. You know, they wanted Faith brought back into the show. I think that was right. We had Older Love with Ned and Florence, Second Chances. You know, there's some really great stuff on here. The town is growing. There's things that are happening. Oh, okay. It's I can go on forever about that because I just think my thing is I get it. You are upset. You're done with the show because you didn't get what you wanted. Totally understand. Totally get it. I said I've quit shows. Done. But just the anger towards the actors and stuff. It's just to me and to my co-host Marissa. She got her butt kicked by fans earlier this season, and I didn't like that either. I defended her. I didn't like that either. I went on air and was like, "Okay, folks, you need to calm the f down because this is not, you know, she's telling you her opinion. Debate her, give up your opinion. I mean, give your opinion. We want that. I mean, we don't have to all agree on everything. I mean, Marissa and I don't agree on everything. And so I'm like, need to let. I mean, it's yeah. I just found us, Yvonne. Okay, well, I'm glad you found us. Because of the pandemic and stuff, things that happen. This is the first full season we've done in years of after shows. Last year we did the second half of the season, but we did do another 3 seasons of the show, so 4 seasons. So I'm going to post those on our channel. That will be soon. We're gonna post on our channel, so anybody can go back and watch those. So just stay tuned for that. I'm trying to find the files for that. I have them in this house somewhere. My house is a little crazy. I'm doing some renovations. I'm doing some moving stuff around. I'm throwing stuff out. I'm doing some purging. So my house, if you see right now, it's a mess. I hate it. I'm an organizer by trade, but I'm trying to get stuff in order. And so sometimes you have to make a mess to make it pretty. I'm gonna get off now, but you guys, thank you so much for in the chat room. I mean, this is the most I've had in the chat room during the show. Yvonne Frederick, Barbara Ann, Geneva Holland, Kenneth Clark. You guys, thank you so much for being in here with me and talking with me. I like this. This is JLJ This Morning, my morning program, Monday through Friday. New episodes every day. I go live several times a week. But it's a little morning show for you. I usually go a little earlier, but I'm preparing. So I may have an announcement later today. So I'm working on that right now. And this is like a positivity show. So we have an actual Facebook page, JLJ This Morning. We also have a Twitter page, JLJ This Morning, with JLJ Media. So go ahead and like us everywhere and follow us. YouTube is JLJ Media. Follow us there too. But everyone, please have a good day today. I see the sun starting to come out of where I live. So hopefully it'll be a nice day. But I'm wishing everyone a good day. Thank you very much.